welcome to Shine by Crochet. My name is Diamond. Stick around if you want to learn how to make this beautiful skirt. For this project, I used 2 skeins each of the Brava Sport Weight yarn in almond, white, and black. I also used a size D crochet hook. This skirt starts at the waistband to begin with, and then it works from the waistband down. You'll start with your color A. My color A is almond. I've already made my first 15 chains. If you do not know how to make chains, please visit my other video on how to do so. Once you finish your 15 chains, we're going to start slip stitching across the row. We will start with the second chain from our hook, and we will create a slip stitch. The important part here is to make sure your slip stitches are a little bit looser than you would typically crochet, because as we go along, if it gets too tight, the ribbing will become uneven and it'll be really hard or difficult to work inside. So if you have to take a little bit of extra time, especially at the beginning when first starting your ribbing, that's okay. All right, and you're going to add loose slip stitches across the row until you get to the end. I will see you there in just a second. I am on my very last stitch, and I'm adding my slip stitch to the end of that first row. Here, I personally like to use a turning chain with slip stitches. Most people say you don't, or I've heard people say you don't. I use it just because it's what I'm used to and what I'm comfortable with. So you're going to chain 1 and then turn your work. And then from here on out, you are actually going to insert slip stitches on the back loop. You notice where I put my hook in the back loops only. So you'll be slip stitching across in only the back loops. I'll do it one more time so you can see. Right, and then we'll continue across using only slip stitches. Again, I'll see you at the end of the row. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you do, I need you to do the world's largest favor for me. You can find that handy dandy subscribe button and poke it in the eye. That would be great. All right, back to the video. So I'm on my last stitch before the end of the row, and I just wanted to highlight where you put your hook. So notice that I have one more slip stitch to do, and sometimes it's hard to see because it can be really close to that turning chain. So we're going to insert our hook inside the back loop of that last stitch, and then we are ready to make our turning chain. If you don't want to get confused, or you're a beginner and sometimes can't find where that last stitch is, I encourage you to put a stitch marker on the turning chain, so that way you do not get confused or or start adding stitches when you're not meant to. So again, you're going to create your turning chain, turn your work, and then work from the second chain from your hook. And then at this point, if you are uncomfortable figuring out where your turning chain is, you can slip a stitch marker on that turning chain so you don't get lost. So for the rest of the ribbing, you are going to slip stitch in the back loops only for each row, and you're going to do that until you get to your waist measurement. To get the waistband measurement for this skirt, you're going to take your hip measurement, divide that by 2, and then subtract 2 inches. For example, my hip measurement is 40. I divided that by 2, which gave me 20 inches, and then I subtracted 2 more inches, which gave me 18. The reason why I subtracted 2 more inches was because I needed to account for the stretch that the ribbon gives you. So it's very important to take away those extra 2 inches so that way your waistband can fit snug. As a test, I encourage you to try on your waistband after we stitch it together, and then see if you can get it over your hips. If you cannot get the waistband over your hips now, you will not be able to get it over your hips at the end of the project. So it's very important that you check before moving on with the rest of the project to make sure it fits the way you want it to, and that it can actually get over your hips. All right, so your waistband should be completed. The next step that we're going to do is connect the first row of your waistband with the very last row that you just finished. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect your waistband using the back loops from both rows. All right, so with your hook still attached to your work, all right, you're going to insert your hook in that very first stitch, and then make sure that you do not stick your hook in the turning chain. So my turning chain is right here from that first row. So we're going to go over to this stitch, all right, which would be the first stitch, and that's how you're going to connect your work, okay? So make sure you don't stick your hook into the turning row chain, or your stitches are going to be off when you connect them, and you want to make sure you are inserting stitch for stitch as you close your waistband. So just make sure that you don't accidentally stick your hook inside of the turning chain from your very first row. So again, you're going to stick your hook in the back loop of the last row that you made, and then the back loop of the very first row that you made. So again, show that one more time. So take your hook, stick it in the back loop, and then find the back loop for your first row that you made. And then you're gonna yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, which creates a slip stitch. All right, we're gonna do that one more time. Back loop of the first row, and then back loop of the last row. And then yarn over. One more time. Back loop to back loop. All right, and then you are going to continue slip stitching till you get to the end of the waistband, and I'll show you what to do from there. All right, so here we are at the end of the waistband. Now that we've slip stitched all the way to the end, what you're going to do is you're going to take your waistband, all right, and have the stitches facing up towards you. You'll notice that I have a loose end here, which is perfectly fine. We're just going to crochet over that. So I'm going to tuck that loose end into the back for now, and then we will weave in that in later. And then from the slip stitch, you're just gonna, the slip stitch that you use to connect the waistband, you're just going to do one more chain. All right, and now you're actually set up to create a foundation row that's going to end up leading into the skirt. So what you're going to do is, now that you have your chain one, this is actually going to be the beginning of working in the round for your skirt. So you'll notice that with the ribbing, there are some spaces in between each rib, and that's where we're going to crochet. So we're going to stick our hook into the space between the ribbing, and we are going to create a single crochet. And if you don't know how to make a single crochet, you can revisit my previous video in my basic foundation stitches playlist, and you can use that as your guide. So we're going to create a single crochet into that little hole there, and then your second stitch, again, because this is going to stretch, you need to also make another single crochet in the second loop in between the ribbing. So if you look closely, all right, there's two sides of the ribbing. You're going to stick your second single crochet in the other loop in that ribbing. And again, you're going to find each of those and stick a single crochet inside. All right, yarn over, pull through, all right, yarn over, pull through. All right, and you're going to do this all the way around until you get back to the very beginning of the row. I'll see you then. All right, so your waistband should be finished or now slip stitched together. what you're going to do now, you'll notice that you have a little end here. You can leave that alone for now, and at the end you can weave that in later. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. It's a bit of an awkward angle, but it's okay. As long as you hold your waistband comfortably, you're going to make a chain, 1, and then you're going to make another chain. So you should have 2 chains that are extended past your waistband now, and you're going to turn the waistband to where it's sitting in front of you like this, because we're actually going to start making the skirt now, and we're going to be working in the round. So that chain 2 is actually going to be the beginning of a row of half double crochet. So if you notice in the ribbing, when you stretch it out, there's actually 2 loops in between each ribbing. We're going to place a half double crochet in each one of those loops. So yarn over, you're going to insert your hook into the first loop in between the ribbing. All right, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. All right, yarn over, insert your hook into the next loop or stitch inside of that ribbing, yarn over, pull through all 3. All right, let's move to the next ribbing or the next segment. All right, see, that's where you're going to put your hook. So yarn over, going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Do it one more time. All right, we're now moving on to the next ribbing. You're gonna yarn over, you're gonna insert your hook into that first loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert hook into the next stitch or the next loop in that ribbing, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And you're going to do this until you get all the way around back to that the 2 chains that you created from the beginning. All right, so we're at the end of our half double crochet row. You'll notice that you have one less ribbing that actually has your tail from the beginning inside of it. You're just going to tuck that tail behind and work as you have been throughout your rows. So you're just going to yarn over, insert your hook in the loop that's next to the tail, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops. All right, and then you're going to yarn over, and you're actually, that last loop is going to be under the tail, so you're going to yarn over, place your hook right under where that tail is, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. All right, and then last thing we have to do for the row is to connect it, because we're working in the round. However, we're going to do something special because we're actually going to do color work with the skirt. So you're going to insert your hook inside of that second chain, but you're not going to yarn over using your first color, your color A. You're actually going to so you're not going to use the original color, so you're not going to use the color A. You're going to switch to your color B. Mine is going to be black. You're going to take that tail from your new color and you're going to fold it over the left side to make a loop. It's not a slip knot, all right? It's just a loop here that you're going to pull through as if you were yarning over from your previous color. And then you're going to pull through both of those loops. Now we are ready to start working with our next color, color B. You notice that you have your tail from the new color. You can just tuck that behind. Again, we'll worry about the ends when we're finished with the skirt. Make sure that you are using the color that is connected to the yarn that is connected to the ball and not your tail, or else you'll have to undo that and start again. So just make sure that you're using the yarn that's connected to the tail. You're going to chain 2 with your new color, All right, and this time we're actually, instead of going into the double loops as you would for a half double crochet like a normal row, you're actually going to yarn over and you're going to insert your hook in between the stitch from the previous row. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And you just created a half double crochet, but it's going to be below those 2 loops. Instead of actually just using those 2 loops, you're actually going to stick your half double crochet in between each stitch. So again, you're going to yarn over. All right, you're going to go below into the previous row, making sure that you are under both loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3. What this does is it allows the colors to kind of bleed together, which creates this really pretty pattern. And I just think it's something that's quite pretty. So just make sure that when you're doing this that you again go in between, and you'll notice you have 1, 2, and you can see that 3rd loop. You're going through, or you're going under all of those loops. Okay. I'll do it one more time, just because my camera's not quite picking up the way I want it to. Yarn over, go below all of those loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. All right, and you are going to do this until you get all the way back around to the beginning of the row, and I'll see you then. All right, so we are at the end of our color B row. What you're going to do, and like we did before, you're going to insert your hook in the top 2 chains, but you're not going to use the color B to yarn over and pull through. You're actually going to pull out yarn C, and for me, yarn C is going to be white. So just like we did with the black row, we are going to take our yarn, take the tail and kind of fold it under that top bit of yarn there and make a small loop. We're going to put it on our hook and we're going to pull through the chains and the loop that we had on our hook. And now we are ready to start working with our color C. You'll notice that all our other yarns are still connected, because as we change, we're not going to reattach them. We're just going to pick them up from the previous rows, so that way you don't have as many ends to weave in. So we are not going to cut off the other yarn balls from our work. We're just going to keep working with them as we go, so that way we don't have a lot of ends to weave in. So you're going to chain 2. And just like we did with our B row, you're going to yarn over and place the yarn under all of the loops of the previous row and create your half double crochet. All right, same thing, you just yarn over. Again, you'll have 1, 2, and 3 loops. Make sure you go under all 3 loops when making your half double crochet. Do it one more time. All right, you're going to yarn over, place your hook in the bottom of the previous row, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. All right, and just like you did before, you're going to continue going until you get all the way around in half double crochets, just like we did with the previous row. And I'll see you when we get back to the beginning of this one. All right, we are at the end of our color C row. The last thing we need to do, and always remember, is to change colors after you've stuck your hook into the top 2 chains. So you're going to switch colors and you're going to go back to color A. Again, your color choices are your own, so if you have something in mind that you want to do, feel free. But for the pattern that I'm doing, I am going A, B, C, A, B, C. As you change colors, you might have to reorganize your yarn balls and put them back in the correct order so they don't cross over each other as you're crocheting. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. So I'm going to take my color A and pull through those top 2 chains and the loop that was on my hook. Going to chain 2. Right, and just like we did with the other rows, we're going to go below into the previous row and add our half double crochets around. And then for the rest of the pattern, you're just going to switch from color A to B to C until you get to the length of the skirt that you would like. Just make sure that as you're going, that you're careful with not getting your colors mixed up or getting them too tangled, because then that's going to make it a little bit harder to tie in your ends at the end. And you just want it to look neat and polished, so just make sure that you're not getting your yarn too tangled as you're changing colors. And that is the pattern. It's pretty simple. It's just half double crochet that you need to finish the rest of the pattern, and I will see you at the end of the skirt. All right, so I have completed the last row of my skirt. The last thing that we're going to do is finish off with a loop that's going to kind of hide that beginning so we don't have to make a slip knot and it kind of look out of place with the rest of the stitches. So once you have cut your yarn, you're actually going to pull the tail through your last half double crochet, and then what you're going to do is you're going to insert your hook from the back of your chain 2 from the beginning of the row, and you're going to pull that yarn through. And then what you're going to do is take your hook again, and in the front loop of the previous half double crochet, you're going to stick your hook through that. I'll show you one more time. All right, so there's the chain 2, there's the last stitch. Stick your hook inside of the front loop, and then you're going to pull the yarn through that front loop. All right, and what that does is it creates kind of an invisible join, so it doesn't look like there are like there's a slip knot there. And then what you can do is once you pull it tight and weave the ends through, it'll look a bit more uniform, so it makes it look invisible. All right, here is the final project. I'm super happy with how it came out, and I love the colors I chose. If you do decide to make the skirt yourself, please leave a comment below with what colors you'll be using. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like or a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!